With the exception of Rajesh here, I think all the other panelists have been introduced. Oh. And Sanjeev, welcome. Glad you're here. Has not, yeah. Okay, good. All right, go ahead and bring me to Rajesh. I'd like to introduce. For Rajesh, there. Sanjeev here, very good. All right, so Rajesh is Associate Director of Risk Assurance at PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC. Has a deep wealth of experience in immigration law, global mobility, strategic planning, all kinds of immigration reforms, and how emerging companies are dealing with the transitions that are happening and the growth and scaling. He enjoys doing a lot of volunteer activities. This is a good man. We're glad he's on our panel. And also for Sanjeev. Sanjeev, I can tell, has a deep history in immigration. I was looking at his bio, having worked with an international law firm as well as with IBM, and originally I think got his first taste of immigration working for the US Embassy. I'm sure a great experience, and gives him a wonderful background to be speaking to us today in the trends in global immigration, the things that we'll be most interested in hearing about this morning. I think before we speak anymore, I just want to kick things off to the panel because we don't have a ton of time, and I know everybody here has a lot to add. So with that, let's bring up Praveen, our keynote.
Good morning, everybody. While we just wait for the deck to come up, we'll try to tweak this session a bit, and I'll basically act as the person prompting the questions to the esteemed panel here, and we really should make best use of the wealth of knowledge they have to get this. The promise is that this is going to be an interesting topic for sure. I'm sure all of you have your eyes set on it. Okay, without much further ado, we'll jump straight in. Okay, the session about global immigration trends and updates, and some incidents earlier this week have kind of diverted the attention completely to one direction, and that notwithstanding, we'll try to touch upon a few things happening around and keep it as global as possible, while obviously you realize that US would take the lion's share of what we speak today. The immigration scenario is challenging and evolving constantly around the world, and anybody who's been in this business for any time would realize that there is nothing standstill, and there is a huge amount of change coming in, and that's the beauty, right? What you knew last year would be redundant next year, and you have to pick up something else and get started. So it's never too late to start in this industry, and you just retain the key tenets of what's happened in the past to give you the trajectory of sorts, but then you keep on going ahead, right? With that said, I think there are broad trends which are bringing in changes. The uncertainty in the policy direction with what happens in the US elections. Rami, what are your thoughts about this? How do you see it going from here? And just an overview of what you've seen in the past, because I know you've been working with lobby groups, connected with the campaigns and all that. Your thoughts, please.
Sure. Actually, I took the liberty of looking into, and I never thought I'd have to do this, but looking into some of the proposed changes to U.S. immigration under President-elect Trump. Obviously, there was a lot of rhetoric during the campaign, and I think that a sense of practicality will hopefully set in. However, President-elect Trump leaned on, in fact, I think mentioned in a few of his debates, that he was endorsed by CIS, which is the Center of Immigration Studies. And in April, they issued 79 executive orders that he can either pull or put forth without legislation to help cure or fix our immigration system. I wanted to just go into 10 of them that I felt that this particular audience would like to hear about. So again, these are executive orders that either the president can modify, change, withdraw, or put forth. The first one would be to restore USCIS and Department of State's Fraud Detection and National Security Division's analytical program for fraud assessment. If you recall, they did a very extensive study where they interviewed hundreds of companies for L's and H's, and they came back and they determined what type of companies committing fraud and what industry, et cetera. So that's one thing they want to restore. So you would, as a company, would probably have unannounced guests that would want extensive information, and it may actually even come, some of this may even come from other bodies outside of CIS and DOS. The second thing that they would do is request that no immigrant petitions be filed. So perm cases in the EB2, EB3 category, for instance, for India, if the priority dates are 2 years or more. So if you can imagine that, that's pretty substantial. So you would not be able to file probably the number of perm cases that you're looking at today. Third, they're recommending that the President-elect rescind the Visa Foreign Visitor Goals Act, which basically makes it a lot easier for people to travel to the United States for B1 visa purposes and even for guests, et cetera. Another drastic measure, number 4, would be to currently, if you're out of status in the United States for 180 days or more, there's a bar for up to 10 years, unless you can show a substantial reason for being out of status. This organization recommends that the President-elect Trump reduce this to 30 days. So we're going from 180 days to 30 days. Very substantial, because someone can overlook their visa stay or their paperwork, and all of a sudden they're barred for a substantial amount of time. Furthermore, they're asking for substantially higher fees for all non-immigrant categories. I don't know what that exactly means, whether that's double or triple the current amount, but substantial is the main word that we all need to look at. In terms of H-1Bs, the floor would be $80,000 for anyone with a bachelor's degree. And if the individual has a master's degree, it would be $90,000 as a minimum wage. So that would probably curtail some of the positions that don't require a lot of experience. And of course, these amounts will also be adjusted for inflation going forward in future years. So if inflation's 1 or 2%, it would increase by that amount every year thereafter. Furthermore, there are very, very substantial compliance matters when it comes to companies that may want to outsource, or companies that want to hire another company to come in and take over a core function, which happens all the time.